Welcome back to Big Mouth and welcome to Saturday's edition of the dceu Daily. We will be talking about the rumours and reports that Ray Fisher has been written out of Flashpoint. But first, I want to talk about current events. We know a very serious incident happened at the Capitol building in Washington yesterday. We know that Trump supporters broke into that building. 4 people were killed, other people were injured, and I think at least one security person or police officer, an innocent person doing their job, also was killed. What am I talking about this? First of all, it's a despicable incident, and democracy made this happen. Don't forget, the democratic system put Donald Trump as president. The democratic system has Boris Johnson as prime minister, and Brexit wouldn't have happened without that either. Boris Johnson, a man with so much blood on his hands right now and hasn't dealt with the pandemic very well at all, and people have died and suffered. And at the moment, they don't know where the next penny's coming from because of this man's decisions in putting economy before people. And this is even worse in America because Trump dealt with the pandemic even worse than Johnson. So, as I say, why am I talking about this? Well, I'm talking about this actually because this brings me to Batman versus Superman. Remember the film many of you mocked and laughed at? But actually that film was a forewarning of yesterday's events. Think about it. A madman convinced an innocent man to testify against Superman, a hero that saved mankind 18 months prior. He convinced him to will all the way down to the Capitol building and go there and testify against this hero. He manipulated people in the crowd to turn up outside the Capitol building with placards saying, "Go home, alien, death to Superman," and all of that. A hero who saved their lives. If it wasn't for Superman, those people wouldn't be able to stand there, right? And everyone has a right to peacefully demonstrate, of course. No one has the right to do what happened at the Capitol building yesterday. That's absolutely disgraceful. Clear my throat while I talk about this. So basically, Batman versus Superman is forewarning. Lex Luthor, a madman, convinced Batman that Superman was dangerous and he wanted to kill him because of that manipulation. Amazing how all these events in one film are forewarning to what actually happened yesterday. Now, I'm not trying to tell you a film is as important as that terrible tragedy that happened. Terrible. All manipulated by one madman, though. And it's exactly the same as what happens in Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Yes, Terrio and Snyder were giving us forewarning. But you mocked that film. You mocked that film because 2 heroes had a mother with the same name. You didn't understand that. Bit too deep for you people. Anyway, either make Zack Snyder president, joking, of course, or put him in charge of the DC Extended Universe, for crying out loud, or make him a voice. We'll talk about that in a moment because there's so much to be said. So let's go to the news that was breaking. Now, we've got to remember what these bloggers and pundits say isn't always fact. And nothing to confirm any of what I'm about to read to you. So, Eric Davis, a very good guy, very positive guy. DC Movie News. Both Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck have closed their deals to play Batman in The Flash. Now, that's very good news. If it's true, I believe Eric. After turning down a cameo offer to also appear in The Flash, Ray Fisher and the character he plays, Cyborg, will no longer appear in the film via Humberto Gonzalez. Now, Humberto is like Marmite. Sometimes he tastes good, sometimes he doesn't. So let's read the article Humberto wrote for the wrap. If it can upload, yes, here we are. Cyborg cameo written out of The Flash. Role played by Ray Fisher won't be recast. Justice League actor Ray Fisher, who was offered the cameo role last June to appear as Cyborg in The Flash solo movie, publicly stated he did not want to be involved with the project via Twitter. Hence, the character of Cyborg has been written out of the screenplay and will not be recast according to insiders with knowledge of the situation. Right, let's look at this again, Humberto. He didn't come onto Twitter saying he wouldn't be in The Flash. he actually said he wouldn't work on any project involving Walter Hamada. I suppose it comes to the same thing. But interestingly enough, I think he posted something on social media saying, don't believe everything you're hearing right now. Now, this was prior to this. Fisher publicly resigned from the role last week in his continuing beef with DC Films president Walter Hamada, who's overseeing The Flash. The actor tweeted on December the 30th, Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler. He lies, and WBPR's failed September the 4th hit piece sought to undermine the very real issues of the Justice League investigation. I don't mind him saying what he did in the bottom half about the Justice League investigation, but to say that Walter Hamada is the most dangerous kind of enabler, that's ridiculous. That is so overdramatic. Anyway, Fisher added in his tweet, I will not participate in any production associated with him. Of note, Hamada did not oversee the Justice League production and was not the head of DC Films at the time, nor was he employed during the film's initial release. Now, Ray says things to the contrary. He posted a tweet a day or two ago saying that he was helping with Shazam reshoots before he was officially president of DC Films. So that's interesting, but again, not a smoking gun, not something that I really care about talking about, but it's there and we have to mention it. You see, I'm a balanced guy. I like to mention everything. Hamada first joined DC Films back in 2018 and led the division to release off its highest grossing film to date, 2018's Aquaman, which banked over $1.4 billion at the worldwide box office. On Tuesday, it was announced that Hamada has re-upped his deal as president until 2023. Fisher called the news reactionary in a tweet later that day. Right, let's talk about Walter Hamada while we'll give this article a break, and I'll come back to this very shortly. Right, Walter Hamada's extension is actually a very clever one by Warner Media. We discussed this the other day on the DCEU Daily. It actually finishes a couple of months after Flashpoint. And I said this to you when we were talking about Hamada's contract extension, didn't I? Flashpoint is the thing that will make or break Walter Hamada. And this is why his contract extension is dated a couple of months after its release. If Flashpoint and the Multiverse strategy is a success because they're one in the same thing, if it's all a success, and I believe that Flashpoint, for him to keep his job, Flashpoint has to make $2.5 billion. It has to be the biggest hit ever. We hope and pray the pandemic and its consequences are over by the end of 2022. So it has to be the biggest grossing comic book movie of all time. It has to be deemed by critics and the consumer as the best comic book film of all time. It has to be lauded and loved so people accept and understand this multiverse strategy. Now, what he's got on his side, Flashpoint means cameos of different iterations of different DC live action characters. That's very important. That helps him. That may be able to cloud the film. Now, if I was Walter Hamada, I would take Christina Hodgson's story and screenplay and use it as loo paper and bring in someone from DC Comics. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Jeff Johns is a topic of conjecture. But the truth is, he co-wrote Flashpoint. Why isn't he involved in this film? There's no one actually who understands Flashpoint more than Jeff Johns. Or somebody else, bring somebody else on. You know, Alan Heinberg actually wrote Wonder Woman. That's why the Wonder Woman movie was so amazing. I've seen on Twitter a posting of an old interview with him or a new one where he talks about how he got the job, how he pitched the whole thing to Zach and he thought Zach wasn't interested. And then Zach ran after him at the car park and said, turn up with a whiteboard tomorrow. And he goes, why? He goes, because we're doing your movie. So amazing. But what Alan Heinberg did with Wonder Woman was beautiful. Fisher, in his only role, first appeared as Cyborg in 2017's Justice League. His final appearance as Cyborg will be in the Justice League Snyder Cut, which will premiere this spring on HBO Max. Right, let me draw you a picture of what's going on right now. There is a civil war at DC Films. There's no question about that. No question about that. So what's going on here? So you've got the Warner Brothers Pictures side with Walter Hamada. Then you've got the Zack Snyder is involved with this. And I believe that Ray Fisher is working under orders. And it could be deemed, and I've said this to you before, that Warner Media are involved because there is this civil war going on. You know, Warner Media are trying to grab control of the whole company. Now, how as owners, they can't just destabilise Warner Brothers Pictures and make it as totally as Warner Media. I don't understand why, if they want Emmerich out, why did Ann Sarnoff, give him a promotion and give him even more power? It doesn't make any sense unless Ann Sarnoff is part of the problem and maybe Jason Kilar behind the scenes is the one trying to destabilise what she's trying to do. Who knows? This is an alleging. This is a theory. This is not a fact, by the way. We're just talking. It's a YouTube video. This is what we do, right? So there is a civil war going on, and Snyder is trying to garner control. He wants someone in charge of DC films that he can trust. Maybe he wants the job himself. So there's definitely a civil war going on. So when you hear Snyder talking crap about a Marvel movie, a Daredevil movie, or anything else, this is all to try and get... I think Matt Jarbo did a great video the other day, actually, on Free Buck Theatre, where he spoke about this, and he said, basically, it's a civil war, and everyone is trying to win power of DC films. And I said it the other day on my Friday video. It's tough being a DC fan right now with all this negativity, these power struggles between people within the company and fans responding to all of this. We don't know which way to turn our heads, and it's really tough right now to be a DC fan. But make no mistake, it's all about Flashpoint. If that wins, Walter wins. If it loses, he loses. And then Snyder can get his fingers back on everything. But it's a big question mark. I don't know. I just think that Andy Muschietti is a great director, but he's never handled anything this huge. Doesn't mean he can't do it. The Omen was a small movie for Richard Donner, but he made a massive movie like Superman the movie, and all the challenges that had in 1970. Well, it was released in 78, but they started in 76. So, anything's possible. But Christina Hodgson, unfortunately, hasn't written anything of note. I mean, in fact, Birds of Prey is actually a very entertaining movie, so I can give it to her there. But at the end of the day, can she pull this off? I don't know. We're going to have to trust her. Hopefully the rumours of Ben Affleck doing some rewrites are true as well. So we know that Ben and Michael Keaton have signed up their deals now. So hopefully we can get some kind of public post from them confirming that statement, and Warner Media or Warner Brothers Pictures as well. Fisher's beef with DC Films and Hamada first surfaced last July when the actor publicly accused Justice League director Joss Whedon of gross abuse of unprofessional behaviour on set. Fisher said Whedon's behaviour was enabled by DC Entertainment president Jeff Johns and John Berg. I don't think there's much... and let's just read a bit more. Warner Brothers launched an independent investigation in mid-August, but on September the 4th, he criticised the company on Twitter, saying, after speaking out about Justice League, I received a phone call from the president of DC Films where he attempted to throw Joss Whedon and John Berg under the bus in hopes that I would relent on Jeff Johns. I will not. So it really is, as I say, this is a civil war. This is beyond what happened on Justice League. This is a power struggle, everyone. You've got to start understanding what this is. It absolutely is a power struggle. In a counter-statement later this day, and this proves it, by the way, Warner Brothers denied Fisher's accusations against Hamada and said the actor had never actually accused anyone of actionable conduct. The company also said Fisher refused to speak to an investigator despite multiple attempts to reach him. In a statement released on December the 11th, Warner Media said it had concluded its investigation into accusations by Fisher of inappropriate conduct during the production of Justice League. The company said remedial action was taken, but declined to clarify what that means. And we still don't know what that means. We don't know who's... Well, it doesn't look like anyone of note's been booted out. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be buried under the carpet, but who knows? So the plot of The Flash will introduce audiences to the idea of the multiverse, one of the core concepts underpinning DC Comics. For the non-fanboys set, the multiverse refers to shifting number of alternate universes that coexist within the larger reality depicted in DC Comics. Originally created to explain various contradictory changes the company's characters experienced over decades, it allows several different versions of the same characters to simultaneously exist and occasionally interact. For example, Ben Affleck's Batman is not the only Caped Crusader who will return in The Flash. Michael Keaton will also return to his role of Batman from the 1989 Tim Burton film. And that is the article. So what they're saying is that Burton and Affleck have signed their deals to both be Batman in the Flashpoint movie, and Ray Fisher has been written out. Now, I accept that Keaton and Affleck have signed their deals. There's no reason why they shouldn't. I think it makes sense to what Keaton said a few months ago, that there's still things to iron out. It looks like they've ironed those things out. Maybe Keaton wants to do a movie as Batman with Tim Burton. That would be really awesome as well. Let's see what the future holds. And it's interesting yesterday, after this stuff that happened at the Capitol in Washington, because Ray Fisher said we can worry about DC films tomorrow. Right now, we've got to focus on what's going on at the Capitol building. Now, listen, I'm not a political man. I'm a movie man. I'm an entertainment man. That's my lifeblood. I love it. I love it. And, you know, I don't care about politics, but the problem is there was too many people on Twitter yesterday enjoying it too much. You could tell, you know, pushing their twisted political narratives. It's a shame what's happening to the world right now. And I think films and, you know, comic books can really help us escape. And we need an escape, because some of these people want us, embraced in this 24 hours a day. And it's not good for our mental health. It's like all the negativity going on at DC. This is why I've been re-watching the DC Extended Universe. So despite all the politics that goes on within the DC Extended Universe, Man of Steel, BVS, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman are all great movies. If you watch Justice League with a bit of a slanted head, it's half decent. It's not a great movie. It's a mess, but it can be watched, and I use it as a placeholder. Aquaman, great movie. Shazam, a really entertaining movie. And Birds of Prey is really entertaining if you just ignore the commentary against men. And it's not that bad, thankfully. So that's so you can look at the DC Extended Universe as a whole. It's a pretty cool franchise, right? That's made some solid money. It hasn't brought up any trees or anything, but they've done okay. And the films can be watched again and again. I think it's a cool franchise, but it certainly can do better. The whole point of Walter Hamada doing this multiverse strategy is to have an interconnective universe where people can cross over, right? And we can have an arc. Flashpoint should literally set up an arc. That's what we want. That's what this franchise is desperate for, because, MOS, BVS, Suicide Squad, and even Wonder Woman, I suppose, to a lesser point, is kind of setting up and building up towards Justice League. So there's something going on there. But after that, there's literally just self-contained movies. And as great as those movies are, and as much as I enjoyed those movies, as I just said, it takes self-contained movies in this kind of situation, when you've seen what Feige's done with the MCU, it kind of takes the excitement out of it. And Flashpoint is an exciting moment. But as I've already said, it will be the making or breaking of Walter Hamada. So what do you think about all of that? Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon.